My life be like, ooh, yeah, ooh. My life be like, ooh, yeah, ooh.
Welcome back to Spittin' Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar, and I'm coming at you from the 256. But today it will probably be a pretty quick episode. Not a whole lot went on yesterday, but let's get right into it. We'll start with the NBA. Vince Carter signed a one-year contract worth the veteran minimum of $2.4 million with the Atlanta Hawks. Next season will be his 21st season in the NBA, and he's currently 41 years old. I believe he turns 42 during the season. But the Hawks want to bring him in so he can influence and teach the young rebuilding roster, just to be an influence and a veteran presence to kind of teach those guys what they need to do to grow as a player. Obviously, Vince Carter is one of the greatest dunkers of all time. Everybody remembers Vinsanity and when he put his arm inside the hoop up to his elbow, as you saw right there. But an interesting tidbit was Vince Carter was drafted on June 24th, 1998, which was almost exactly 3 months before 2018 first-round pick of the Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young, was born. Over his career, Vince Carter he's been an 8-time All-Star, and Atlanta will be his 8th team that he will play for. Last season, Vince Carter averaged 5.5 points per game, just over 1 assist, and 2.5 rebounds, and a very limited role with the Sacramento Kings. But like I said, one of the greatest dunkers of all time. Obviously, he's been around a long time, so the Atlanta Hawks want to bring him in and let him just kind of teach some of the young guys ways of the league. The last thing about the NBA, the three-team trade involving Carmelo Anthony to the Atlanta Hawks became officially official yesterday. We already know the specifics about that. The Hawks are going to waive and pay Carmelo Anthony not to play for them, and he will be a Houston Rocket next season. But I did want to move on now to the NFL. This just came out late last night, about midnight Central Time. The Falcons GM said that Julio Jones is expected to report to training camp now. But the main story from yesterday was Julio Jones and the Falcons had stepped up their contract talks to try and resolve their differences between the two sides over Julio's contract. They had discussions to creatively increase the potential for him to earn more than the $10.5 million in base salary he was expected to earn, or is expected to earn, or will earn, I should say, for the 2018 season. Like I just said, he's expected to report, so it looks like he will not miss the start of training camp and will not be fined $40,000 for each day he misses. But yes, so apparently they have come to an adjustment to increase his pay for the 2018 season, this upcoming season, and he will report on time. The team had reportedly said that they are willing to discuss a new contract after this season is done. They just gave new contract 3-year deals to the head coach and general manager yesterday, who had 2 years remaining on their contracts. Julio currently has 3, so next season he would have 2. So it looks like they look to have 2 years remaining before they want to talk about contract extensions and things of that sort. Next, I wanted to talk about Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald will be, for the second straight season, he will be a training camp holdout. He's the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year. He was a 2014 first-round draft pick, 13th overall to the Rams in 2014. And, yeah, like I said, 13th overall pick in the 2014 draft. He is entering the final year of his rookie contract and is scheduled to earn $6.9 million. The Rams last week, and then obviously yesterday, but last week they signed Brandon Cooks to a 5-year, $80 million extension, and yesterday they signed Todd Gurley to a 4-year, $60 million extension. Todd Gurley was last year's Offensive Player of the Year. Aaron Donald was last year's Defensive Player of the Year. I believe it's time to pay Aaron Donald. He's been nothing but a monster since he came into the league in 2014. He wants a new contract. This is the last year, so it is time for, in my opinion, for the Rams to pay up. He has 1 year left, but it's time to pay up for Aaron Donald, reigning defensive player of defensive player of the year in the NFL. It's time for him to get that contract extension, so he is paid like he is the defensive player of the year. Last thing I wanted to go into is Major League Baseball. Albert Pujols hit home run number 631 to pass King Griffey Jr., so he is alone now as 6th all-time on the Major League Baseball home run list. It was a solo shot off of James Shields of the White Sox in the bottom of the 2nd inning. 430 foot was how far number 631 traveled. It was Albert Pujols' longest home run of the season to this point. Next, the Red Sox, they added a starting pitcher in Nathan Eovaldi. They traded with the Rays. They traded a minor league pitcher for Eovaldi, pitcher for pitcher, straight up. But that trade comes a day after the Yankees added Zach Britton to their bullpen. Eovaldi gives the first place Red Sox a quality starter to add to their rotation, to the roster. So it was just a move so they could hopefully stay or equalize out what the Yankees did yesterday. Yoenis Cespedes, he will undergo season-ending surgery on both heels. He's only appeared in 38 games thus far in the season. He had a .262 average with 9 home runs and 29 RBIs. He said he wanted to put off the surgery on his heels till retirement, but obviously he couldn't let it go any longer. It was hampering him too much. But just 2 years ago, he was one of the biggest names in baseball, smashing home runs left and right. But the last 2 seasons, he has not been that player anymore, and especially this season, obviously, with injuries, and he's going to miss the rest of the season. I wanted to touch on the division leaders through July 25th. We'll just start with the American League, the AL East. The Red Sox are still in the lead in the East, and the Yankees trail by 5.5. The next closest is the Rays at 18.5. So it's Yankees, Red Sox by far. Nobody's getting to them in the AL East. The Central, the Indians lead the Twins by 7.5. And it looks like the Twins are probably going to sell, so the Indians are by themselves, it would seem. The AL West is the Astros are still on top. Mariners are down by 5. And the A's, who have been quite a surprise, but the A's always are on a budget, they are down by 6.5. The Mariners are back by 5. A's are down by 6.5. The AL East, the Phillies, they lead the Braves by 1.5. And the Nationals are down by 7 now in the AL East. The National League Central, the NL East. The National League Central, the Cubs lead the Brewers by 2.5. And then the next closest is the Pirates at 7. There's 7 back. And then the National League West, 4 of the 5 teams could all win the division. There's a blanket over all of them. Anybody could take that division currently. But the Dodgers lead the Diamondbacks by a half game. Then the Rockies are only 1.5 back of the Dodgers. And the Giants are only 4.5 back of the Dodgers. So the West. I apologize. The West is anybody's game at this point. But the Dodgers, obviously, they just picked up Machado. They're making moves. They made moves to try to pull away. But we'll see how that goes for them as the season goes on. But that is the division leaders and the top of the standings for each division through July 25th. That is all for this Thursday, July 26th edition of Spittin' Sports. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. But this has been Spittin' Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar, and I look forward to talking to you guys tomorrow on Friday. Thank you.